Imagine waking up tomorrow on a planet that looks almost identical to Earth, except for one impossible detail. Earth is now twice as large. Mountains seem taller, the horizon stretches much farther away, and the planet beneath your feet contains roughly 8 times more volume than before. If its density remained the same, its mass would also increase about eightfold. Gravity would immediately become much stronger. On today's Earth, gravity pulls you downward at 9.8 meters per second squared. On a planet twice Earth's diameter with the same density, that value would rise to almost 20 meters per second squared. Overnight, your body would effectively feel about twice as heavy. Standing up would require much more effort. Running would become exhausting. Simply climbing a flight of stairs would feel like carrying heavy weights. Before people even understood what had happened, hospitals would begin filling with injuries caused by a force we never normally think about: gravity itself. The human skeleton evolved under Earth's current gravity. Suddenly doubling that force would place enormous stress on every bone, muscle, and joint in your body. Your heart would face an even greater challenge. It already pumps blood nearly 2 meters upward to reach your brain. Under almost twice the gravity, every heartbeat would require much more force. Many people could experience dizziness simply by standing up. Athletes would struggle to jump even a few centimeters. Carrying groceries might feel like lifting gym equipment. Even animals would be affected. Birds would find flying almost impossible because their wings could no longer generate enough lift. Large animals, such as elephants or giraffes, might struggle to support their own weight. Evolution has limits, and bodies perfectly adapted to today's Earth would suddenly find themselves living on a planet that feels almost hostile. Gravity doesn't just affect people. It shapes the entire planet. A larger Earth would likely trap a thicker atmosphere because its stronger gravity would hold on to gas molecules more efficiently. Air pressure at sea level could become noticeably higher, changing the way weather behaves. Rainstorms might become more intense, while clouds could form differently than they do today. Rivers would flow faster downhill, and waterfalls would become even more powerful. Mountains might actually become shorter over geological time because stronger gravity makes extremely tall mountains collapse under their own weight. Even volcanoes and earthquakes could behave differently as the planet's interior stores more heat. From space, Earth might still look familiar, but its landscapes, weather, and geology would slowly evolve into something unlike the world humans have always known. Human civilization would need to reinvent itself almost overnight. Airplanes would require much more power just to leave the ground. Rockets would face an even bigger problem. Escaping Earth's gravity already requires reaching about 11.2 kilometers per second. On a planet twice as large, the escape velocity would rise dramatically, making space travel far more difficult and expensive. Tall skyscrapers would become harder to build because every floor adds much more weight to the structure below. Transportation, construction, farming, and industry would all need to adapt to a world where lifting anything costs far more energy. Even professional sports would change completely. Records for jumping, throwing, and running would become impossible to break. Humanity could survive, but nearly every piece of technology would need to be redesigned around stronger gravity. If humans lived on this larger Earth for millions of years, evolution would slowly reshape us. Future humans might become shorter and more muscular because compact bodies handle stronger gravity more efficiently. Bones would grow denser, joints thicker, and hearts much more powerful. Birds might disappear, replaced by animals that spend their entire lives on the ground. Trees could also become shorter, since transporting water hundreds of meters upward would become increasingly difficult. Eventually, life would adapt, just as it always has. But these future humans might look at our skeletons in museums and wonder how such fragile creatures ever survived. The strangest part is that the planet would still be called Earth. It would still orbit the same sun and have the same oceans and continents. Yet simply making it twice as large would create a completely different world, proving that gravity is one of the most powerful forces shaping every living thing on our planet.